Rescue Kevin. You're referring to a fully grown male lion that had been starving for several weeks. Dr. Tilhagel had argued over the radio that even if saved, the lion would never be fit to return to the wild. His paralysis meant he couldn't hunt or protect himself. However, when the helicopter landed and Dr. Tilhagel saw the lion's condition up close, her medical instincts overcame her practical doubts. The animal was indeed dying, but his vital signs had improved slightly, thanks to Richardson's overnight care. More surprisingly, despite being surrounded by many people in an unfamiliar environment, the lion showed no aggression. This behavior went against everything known about wild lion psychology. Dr. Tilhagel later recorded in her medical report that the lion allowed them to move him to the surgical table, accepted an oxygen mask, and stayed calm throughout the examination. It was as though he understood they were trying to save his life. Diagnostic tests revealed the full severity of the lion's condition. He had suffered a severe spinal injury, likely caused by a fall or attack by another lion, which paralyzed his hindquarters. Weeks without the ability to hunt had caused extreme malnutrition and several organ issues. His chances of survival were estimated to be less than 10%. The surgery to repair the spinal injury lasted 8 hours. Richardson remained in the operating room throughout, and his presence seemed to calm the lion even while under anesthesia. When the lion started waking up, his eyes immediately searched for and found Richardson's face. Recovery was slow and uncertain. Richardson named the lion Tao, after the Setswana word for lion. Tao required round-the-clock care, so Richardson took extended leave from his usual duties to personally supervise Tao's rehabilitation. The veterinarian set up a cot in the recovery room and spent 3 weeks sleeping beside the lion, closely monitoring progress and providing constant company. What occurred during those weeks amazed the medical staff. Tao began showing behaviors never before recorded in wild lions. He became visibly upset when Richardson left the room, even briefly. When Richardson returned, Tao would make soft chuffing sounds and try to nuzzle his hand, despite his weakened state. It was like watching a bond forming between family members. Nurse Jennifer Mormey noted Tao responded to Kevin's voice, calmed at his touch, and seemed comforted by his presence in ways that defied scientific explanation. As Tao grew stronger, his personality began to show. Despite being a wild predator, he was remarkably gentle around Richardson and the medical team. He learned to accept physical therapy for his paralyzed legs, seeming to understand that the uncomfortable exercises were aiding his recovery. The breakthrough came during the 4th week of recovery. During a routine exam, Tao did something that left everyone speechless. The lion, unable to move his hind legs since rescue, suddenly lifted his tail and flexed his back paws. The spinal injury was healing, and sensation was returning to his lower body. Dr. Tilhagel called it medically inexplicable. The kind of spinal damage Tao suffered usually causes permanent paralysis, yet through what she described as an extraordinary will to live, combined with intensive care and emotional support from Richardson, Tao was defying medical expectations. Video footage of Tao's first attempts to stand went viral on social media, shared millions of times worldwide. Images of Richardson supporting Tao as he took his first shaky step since rescue moved viewers to tears, and donations poured in globally to support Tao's continued rehabilitation. 6 months after his rescue, Tao had made a recovery veterinary experts called medically impossible. The lion, once paralyzed and dying in the Kalahari Desert, was now walking, running, and showing the strength and vitality of a healthy adult male. But what happened next captured the world's attention in a way no one expected. Richardson had built a specialized enclosure at his research center, designed to meet Tao's unique needs as a former wild lion who could never be returned to nature. The plan was simple: provide Tao with a comfortable retirement where he could live safely, away from the dangers that had nearly killed him. Tao had other plans. On a warm October morning, as Richardson entered the enclosure for their daily interaction, Tao did something that stunned the veterinarian. The lion approached him slowly, then gently took Richardson's wrist in his large jaws, not biting but holding it with the delicate care of a mother lion carrying her cub. Tao then led Richardson toward the enclosure gate, his intention clear. He wanted to leave, not to escape, but to go somewhere with Richardson. When they reached the gate, Tao released Richardson's wrist and sat down, looking directly into his eyes with an expression that seemed to say, "Trust me." Against all protocols and professional advice, Richardson made a decision that would change wildlife rehabilitation forever. He opened the gate. What followed was recorded on multiple cameras and broadcast live worldwide. Tao walked calmly beside Richardson as they left the facility grounds, showing no sign of fleeing or aggression. Instead, the lion seemed to be leading Richardson somewhere specific. They walked nearly 2 miles through the African bush, with Tao occasionally looking back to ensure Richardson was following. News helicopters circled overhead as millions watched. The unprecedented sight of a man walking freely beside a full-grown lion in the wild. Their destination became clear when they reached a small pride of 3 lionesses, with cubs struggling to survive in the drought-stricken area. Richardson recognized them as the same pride he had been monitoring during anti-poaching patrols, the very area where he found Tao dying months earlier. What happened next amazed wildlife experts worldwide. Tao approached the lionesses and showed protective behavior, positioning himself between them and potential threats while making soft vocalizations that seemed to communicate Richardson's peaceful intentions. The lionesses, who normally would be scared of humans, remained calm and allowed Richardson to approach. It became clear Tao had brought Richardson for a purpose. The pride was suffering from the same drought that had almost killed Tao. Their usual water sources had dried up, and the lionesses were struggling to find enough prey to feed their cubs. Richardson understood Tao wasn't simply showing gratitude for being saved. He was asking Richardson to help save his extended family. Over the next weeks, Richardson set up a water station and feeding program for the pride, working with local conservation authorities to ensure their survival through the drought. Tao stayed with Richardson during this process, acting as a bridge between humans and the lion pride. The footage of a wild lion bringing a human to help his pride became the most watched wildlife video in internet history. Dr. Jane Goodall called it the most extraordinary example of cross-species cooperation and communication ever documented. Eventually, Richardson had to return Tao to the facility for his safety, but their bond remained unbreakable. Tao lived 7 more years, becoming an ambassador for lion conservation and helping raise millions of dollars for wildlife protection programs. When Tao passed away peacefully in 2019, Richardson was by his side, holding the gentle giant who had once been dying alone in the desert. Tao's legacy lives on through the conservation programs his story inspired and the profound lesson he taught the world about the emotional intelligence and gratitude present in all living creatures. Tao taught me that the line between human and animal consciousness is much thinner than we ever imagined, Richardson said at Tao's memorial. He didn't just survive. He chose to use his second chance at life to help others. That's a lesson any human would be proud to learn.